related matter, speaking of economic growth and development, the Senate will soon turn our attention to a number of bilateral tax treaties with important U.S. trading partners. We have these kinds of agreements in place to reduce tax evasion, tax avoidance, and unfair double taxation of U.S. citizens and businesses who conduct business overseas. The four we'll consider this week are agreements with Spain, Switzerland, Japan, and Luxembourg. The U.S. government and each of these foreign governments have painstakingly negotiated updates to existing agreements about how certain kinds of commerce will be taxed and which country will tax them. In short, Senate ratification of these protocols would mean less confusion, more certainty, and often fewer taxes for U.S. job creators. And by the way, a simpler rule book for overseas investors who want to invest their money here. Fairer treatment for our own American job creators and more enticement for foreign investment to head to our country. That's what we would call a win-win. We're talking about a serious economic impact. In addition to the four countries we're tackling this week, there are three more nations with tax treaties pending, which I know the administration has continued to work on with the Foreign Relations and Finance Committees to finalize work on these remaining agreements. Combined, these 7 foreign countries invest more than $1.2 trillion in the United States, more than $1 trillion in foreign investment. And by some estimates, hundreds of thousands of U.S. jobs are tied up directly or indirectly in trade with these countries. These trading relationships touch all 50 states. Every one of my colleagues is familiar with communities that benefit from foreign investment. For my part, that includes thousands of workers in Kentucky. One major manufacturer with ties to Spain employs 1,500 people in my state. It accounts for more than a third of all the stainless steel produced in the United States every year. Over the 3 decades it's operated in Carroll County, the surrounding community has benefited from more than $60 million in tax revenue. That's just one of many job creators in my home state, and it's far from the only one with a serious interest in seeing these measures get across the finish line. From consumer goods makers to industrial suppliers, Kentucky continues to welcome job-creating investment from around the world. I think practically every American is familiar with Hot Pockets, a culinary staple of busy family workers and college students everywhere. But not everyone knows that as of several years ago, every single Hot Pocket is cooked in Mount Sterling, Kentucky. The facility employs more than 1,000 Kentuckians. The parent company is Nestle, based in Switzerland. So there are not only hardworking Kentuckians, but also lots of hungry consumers across the country who can understand why we need to keep our international trade in sync. Passing these agreements will help every state keep up the economic momentum. It will reinforce the international trade that is so essential to our economic success and help stave off further trade disruptions. So I would urge all of our colleagues to join me in voting for these this week.